guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Or as Commander Woland put it here, hi guys and girls, I'm welcome back and Elite Dangerous to Obsidian Ant, which sounds all backwards, doesn't it? But hope everyone's doing well, hope everyone's okay. Here today both on YouTube and Twitch as usual for the weekday. I can't quite read what's going on over there on Twitch at the moment, but hello there anyway. Nice to see everyone else over on YouTube as well. So we're right here today at Explorers Anchorage, which is the new station near Sagittarius A. Well, I say new, the station's been here, what, 2 weeks now? But, yeah. Community goal tomorrow as well, which is, should be interesting. Right, so yeah, what we're going to do is go over and do a little bit of exploring. Hello there, Blackjack. Evening, in my case over here, exactly. So, how is everyone anyway? Elite Bastard, on your PlayStation 4. Nice. Duchess Elysium, hello there. Nice to see you back again. Whoa, this isn't feeling too good, is it? What's going on here? You know what? I think I haven't got my... We're going to smash up here if we're not careful. I haven't got my rudder pedals set correctly. Give me 2 seconds and that should do it, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. Nearly ended up crashing into something there. Oh, shark towels, wet in London. It's actually not too bad down here. I'm a bit more south than you. Swag Minion, hello. Drew Wager, hello there. My, it's been a while since I last spoke. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing okay. I'm sure people in chat will know who Drew is. Of course, he's one of the authors of the official Elite Dangerous or the Elite novels. But really nice to see you here, Drew. Right, something I still don't feel right with the way this ship is handling here. We're accelerating downwards for some reason. We shouldn't be. So for those over on Twitch wondering what was going on there, that's happening over on YouTube. Again, when on both streams here. I haven't got multi-stream or multi-chat on screen today because it tends to interfere with what's going on the screen and makes things a little bit difficult. But if people do want to see it, yeah, thank you. I have got the lantern gear on. If people do want to see the chat, then I can always switch the combined chat on just in case. Right, shall we see what's going on around here? And the whole Starfield actually looks pretty nice, doesn't it? You can soon tell you're in the middle of the galaxy here. It looks very, very different. But you can't seem to hear the in-game sound, probably because there's not much sound going on. What about when I boost? Hopefully you should be able to hear the boost. How's that sound? Will the Frontier rename the system that the station is located into something shorter and easier to remember, like they did with Colonia? So yes, Elite, I think that may well happen. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. No ideas if it's going to happen though, but I would like to see something like that because it's rather a long name at the moment. Have I still got the graphical mod on? I have. Those are default colours here. I'm not. It's like I said the other day. I really do like the new colour grading and the new lighting system for Elite. I think it's a fantastic addition since we got that in Chapter 4. But I don't think it does much good for the centre of the galaxy. I think the galactic core looks a little bit better with graphics mods. Just personal preference though. So, you know, who knows? Just me perhaps. Yeah, Shinzo is quite a bit of difference. This is EDFX, so it's on and off. Let's see what we can find. Actually, I think there's a notable stellar phenomena around here which should be worth going to see. Let's head on over that way. We can have a look at what the graphics look like with and without the mod whilst we're playing there, can't we? You're welcome, Ethels. We can turn it off and on and off in a minute, a bit more, if you like. Once we get into the stellar phenomena over here, I think we'll do a bit more switching. How's that sound? Commander Woland, glad you liked the that video. I think there's quite a bit of content in Elite in regards to the sort of things people may have missed. So I thought it worthwhile putting that sort of video together. At McCange, it would be my regular YouTube channel there. Thanks, Stuart. Stuart just linked you there. Right, we're just get some music on here. Again, we're going to go with the usual, the Stellardrone, which I like for the stream. I like for the exploring. Perhaps in a couple of streams we'll find something a little bit different, but this makes a change from my regular exploration music than I had been using. We've moved over to Stellardrone for a little while. They've got so many tracks that it's actually worth going through some of these. Quite a lot of different albums here. Pinkuski, you're a bit behind the Distant Worlds at 2 expedition. A lot of things happening at work. Oh well, I'm sure you'll be able to catch up. Hopefully you will. Thank you very, very much for that, Ethan. That's very much appreciated. Inverse Galaxy fleet carriers. I'm glad you asked. So what that's all about, I did want to kind of bring it up on stream because people keep asking, and it's worth addressing. It's worth mentioning. Fleet carriers were meant to be a part of Chapter 4, and middle of last year, around about August, Frontier actually made an announcement saying that they were going to pull fleet carriers from Chapter 4, and since then nobody's ever heard anything anymore about them. When are they going to be released? What's happening with them? And many people assuming that they may have been outright cancelled. Frontier were very, very vague about it, so it's very difficult to really know what was going on. But there was an interview with a community team on Lave Radio last night, and Lave Radio do a weekly show. Nice, very nice weekly show actually. It's been going on for quite a few years, I think since around about 2013, if I'm right. But they had some people from Frontier on there, Will and Sally from Frontier, and the question did come up about fleet carriers. Are they still gonna be happening? And Will was able to confirm that fleet carriers are still coming. So we don't know anything more than that about them, but we know they're still on the way, and hopefully they will arrive this year. And I've got a bit of speculation about that. I've been discussing it with a few people. Discussed it with Stuart here in chat as well, and we kind of come up with a bit of a theory about that. So we'll talk about that perhaps in a little while. So what's getting cancelled? Atomic Vapor. Nothing is getting cancelled, which is neat. Sam Lindop. Frontier are very vague about everything. They are indeed. Fleet carriers, I want squadron megaships. They may be the same thing, or they may be even better. James Logan. I guess we'll have to see. So, notable stellar phenomena coming right up here. Oh, look at that. Oh, we're 25 kilometers away from it, and I was expecting to be in the middle of it. We're not going to accelerate up here, but it doesn't look like it's a particularly bright notable stellar phenomena. It's a non-notable stellar phenomena. Hey there, Sting. I can't quite read your username there, so sorry about that. Ethan S, is Frontier basically waiting on the new console to add VR and other updates? I don't think so personally. I don't think that's what the wait is about. What are we looking forward to the most in the coming updates? So Ninja, very difficult to answer because we've got absolutely no information about the coming updates. All we know is that Frontier are going to be working on the new player experience, now that they've got some events coming up, and that's it. That's literally all we know, so very difficult to get excited about it. Derp, you want to take a break from the game. I can understand that. Hopefully by the time you decide to come back, there's a bunch of new content here. Bladesmith, he thought Elite had VR. Elite does have VR. I think Ethan was talking about VR on consoles, which it doesn't have VR on consoles right now. But there's some speculation that the new consoles, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox 2, may ship with VR. I think that's what they were getting at. Commander Oland, thank you very, very much for that, and you're very welcome. Thank you, that's very much appreciated. Ooh, we got some spiky things. Keep an eye out for the old type anomalies in the cloud. Yeah, I think we might just be seeing them here. The PS5 is scheduled for release in 2021. Well, that's not what I've heard, Elite. There's all sorts of different rumours about when the next consoles are scheduled for release. There has been no official word, and there's rumours that they may be coming out in 2020. Not 2021. What do I think would be a reasonable price for a carrier? I think, especially now with void opal mining, we can set a bit of a higher price, Brandon, but I think they shouldn't really be much lower than 1 billion credits, I guess. Oh, we got some metallic crystals. Shall we see if we can scan these? With the composition scanner. Joseph, the jump range is 60 light years on the ship here. And Kion, I do think there will be a shipyard. Frontier did say a while ago there would be a shipyard here, but I was hoping I would enable that before the community gold, but you know, there you go. Exactly, Kenneth. The PlayStation 5 release date still to be decided. Or still to be announced. Elite set. Well, thank you. 2 AM. Whereabouts are you then? Must be quite a bit away around the world from where I'm here in the UK. People are speculating Q4 of 2020. Yeah, I've heard that as well. PM Collector Boy, I do need to check out Objects in Space, definitely. So there might be some life forms around here. We've got these big crystal-like things. There must be some. Void opals at Explorers are only 130,000 credits or so. Yes, Explorers Anchorage they will, but I don't suppose anyone's coming out here to do void opal mining. Wouldn't be much point in that, really. When will it stop these constant PS4, 5, 6, 7, 8s? I'm not sure what you're asking, Derp. Can you mine the spiky things? No, you can't. Here we go. These are the ones I'm looking for. Oh, look at that. We're probably going to get zapped here if we're not careful, depending on the type of the anomaly. L04 type anomaly. Let's see how close we can get to this. Now, some of these do kind of zap you when you get up close. Depends on what's going on. Some of them only zap you when you've got your shield active. This one looks like it may be safe enough. You get a little sparkly trail there as he's flying around. Right, so you can interact with these. We can try shooting it or mining it. Let's activate some of the modules here. So the reason I'm doing this is because we can potentially get some more information about them in the codex. I thought, hey, I've got a pulse laser. Sorry, little guy. I just want to see how you react to energy beams. You don't seem too phased by that, do you? Let's see if we get a different bit of information when you scan you again. New trait found. Oh, we got a new trait discovery there. So this will be probably because I've shot it. We got a new discovery about it. Mercy Eden. It's just one of those things, I guess. But thank you. How many more PlayStation 5, 6, 7 and 8? All the time people buy them, I think. For no reason to stop. Shine a light on it. We'll try that in a second. Let's try the weapon first. Yeah, true. I'd agree with that. That Frontier have had to do a rewrite on Elite. I don't know if that would still be ongoing. I definitely think they were doing that last year. And we're talking about this on a previous stream. I think it's kind of interesting that a lot of the Beyond content could be described as tools for adding events into Elite. I mean, we've got the Codex, the rumoured sections of the Codex. We've got all these life forms now that can be interacted with in various different ways. Mega ships can be dropped in and out as and when. It can be set on fire. So it kind of seems like a big bunch of the content from last year was kind of aimed at creating the tools they'd need for this year to release these events. At least that's how I'm reading it. Right, let's have a look at the Codex now that we've analysed that. Not there. Could have been the right place. Yeah. Old type anomalies. Ported confirmed. So, moves if approached with the lights on. Observed trays. So, it's nothing to do with me shooting it. I must have had my lights on here without realising it. So, let's come out. We got the lights on? And we didn't have lights on. Let's try that again. Yeah, the star field does look very nice out here, doesn't it? Right, we've got the lights on here. Let's try again. We do get a little bit of interaction here if we get a little bit too close. Why is it getting closer to me? It's getting closer to me, isn't it? It likes the lights. Yeah, the little thing likes the lights. Moving my ship about a bit there. Yeah, Truman, we might have little baby crates. Little glowing baby crates. That would be weird, wouldn't it? What are those crystals? We'll have a look in a minute about them. Let's go over to that again, see if we can kind of attract it over. I'll turn the lights off now. Yeah, and it totally stops dead. Turn the lights off, it stays where it is. Turn the lights on. It looks like it's moving back toward me again. I hope it's moving away. Let's see what else we got. So we can deploy a heatsink as well. Let's see if it reacts to the heatsink. I don't suppose it will. It should shoot out in a minute. There it goes. Doesn't look like it's particularly interested in the heatsink. I don't know where it gone. Oh, there it is. It wasn't too fussed about that, I think. But let's see what happens when we composition scanner it. Hey there, Shan. Yeah, we're going good, thank you. Hope you're doing alright. We were just talking a little bit about the interview you did yesterday on live radio with Frontier. Where you got confirmation that carriers are still on the way, which is pretty nice. It's nice to know, because I think people were kind of worried about that. They were wondering where they've gone, or what was going to happen with them. Because obviously, with them being a part of Chapter 4 and then suddenly not turning up, as Frontier confirmed they wouldn't be in Chapter 4. I think it left to a lot of speculation, so it's nice to know they're on the way. That was a good interview, Shan. I appreciate you and the guys taking the time out to do that. So I don't think Ice Worlds were mentioned. Urban, maybe Shan would know. I didn't catch absolutely the entirety of the interview. Tune MX. The music is Stellardrone. And Brandon, the music is awesome. Yeah, Stellardrone. This track is Between the Rings. Alright, we're gonna move on there, I think, for a little while now. Perhaps we come back to it in a little bit. Nice. So Ice Worlds are still on the cards as well, same as the carriers. Thank you very much for that, Shan. So for those over on Twitch, in case you're wondering, over on YouTube chat we got Shan, who's one of the hosts, one of the co-hosts from Live Radio. He was interviewing Frontier yesterday on their radio show, and the question of carriers come up. Shan wanted to know if carriers and Ice Worlds are still on the cards for development because they were pulled from Chapter 4, and Frontier confirmed that both Ice Worlds and carriers are still coming. So hopefully they're coming this year rather than as a part of the 2020 update. So what's the new fleet carriers like? Could a player buy one of these? That would be the idea, yes. Although they'd be aimed at squadrons buying them, there may be a minimum number of players that would be needed to buy the squadron, to buy the fleet carrier on behalf of the squadron. I think when they were talking about it, it was maybe... I'm not sure if I'm imagining this now, but I seem to remember them talking that it would require 5 people to be able to purchase a carrier. I don't remember if that's just in my head now. I'm imagining that. Commander Corvus, hello there. Nice to see you here, and thank you. Glad you're enjoying the stream. I don't know if you just caught the part, if you just literally just joined. Was talking to Shan, was just letting us know there. He's just in the chat below you. Actually, he was just telling us about the interview he did on Live Radio yesterday with Frontier, whether Frontier confirmed that fleet carriers and Ice Worlds were still on the cards. I know we were talking about that previously in one of the streams. Corvus, wondering whether or not those were actually gonna be happening. But it's nice to know that we still got that as a confirmation. Yes, I do still enjoy Everspace. I haven't played it for quite a while, but I still do enjoy it. It's having time to get back into everything, which can be a little bit difficult. Space battleship, you might, yeah, I can't say it. It's not going to come out, but yeah, it's all down to use the FSS. Arcadian, I don't know if they'll allow individuals to purchase squadron fleet carriers or not, because obviously they're for fleets, not for individuals. But I guess we'll see. Brian Lucas, thank you very, very much. Shan, you want to know what carriers will do differently to space stations and outposts? Well, for one thing, I guess they'll travel, but other than that, they could just end up being mobile carriers. Norimus, you just bought your Anaconda and you can see the windows, doors and hallways. I know it's really nice. It makes you wonder what's further down there, doesn't it? So, I kind of, a bit of speculation, Shan. If I were Frontier and thinking about this purely from like a business point of view, yeah, and we were in the middle of 2018 now, in the middle of 2018, you're developing, still developing the Beyond season, and you're looking at what you're going to develop in 2019, and you've got this big update that you want to release after Beyond, whatever that big update is, the one they've announced. They call it the next era. Maybe it's Space Legs, maybe it's Atmospheric Worlds, maybe it's something else, but either way, you're developing that, and then you realise that you're not going to get that out in 2019. It's going to be a late 2020 release, and you're suddenly left thinking, right, damn, what are we going to release in 2019? How are we going to tide the players over until we release this big update? And so you look at this Beyond season you're developing, and you see in Chapter 4 you've got a bunch of things that make the update really huge, and that you could potentially pull them out. You could pull out carriers perhaps, and pull out ice worlds, and then release them as part of 2019 mini updates, just to keep people interested. That sounds kind of plausible to me. I don't know. Exactly, Corvus. That's kind of what I'm hoping, that the 3 to 4 month mini updates will contain the ice worlds and fleet carriers. I think it would kind of made sense for Frontier to have pulled them from Chapter 4 so that they could release them this year. Not when they were fully aware that this year would otherwise not have much content to release. You love the typing, Shan. Of course, it's much easier to actually chat with you, so you'll have to come on the stream at some point again, because it was really good chatting with you the other day. In fact, if you're up for it, you could always perhaps come on now. I didn't really want to ask you up front in front of everyone here, just in case you can't, but let me know in Discord if you're up for that. We could talk a bit about perhaps your interviews yesterday. Trying to do a bit of find these other planets here. You drop in. Okay, Shan. Cool. If you want to join in the same channel that you did the other week. Right, just give me 2 seconds, everyone, and we'll see if we can get... there we go. So, just about to bring Shan in here from Live Radio. Let's get that sorted. 2 seconds. Oh. No, we're in the wrong one there. Let's just drop out of that one, Shan, and into the other one. There we go. So, hello there, Shan. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. We're in the right place at last.
We are in the right place, and you've got a good bit of volume there. Let me just adjust the volume here, and then I'll make sure everyone knows what's going on and who's who. Hello there. Good. So, yeah, Shan, thanks for coming on the stream here. Just so everyone knows, this is Shan, from one of the co-hosts from Live Radio, and highly active Elite Dangerous player as well. So, hello there, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry for gate crashing. But I saw all the questions coming. I thought, I've been typing all day and I'll have no fingers left tomorrow morning with all the typing.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on again.
No, it's a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So, yeah, as we were saying, you had an interview with both Will and Sally from Frontier yesterday, and had quite a few interesting topics come up.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I mean, obviously, they have a message and a process they have to go through for releasing information. So there was an awful lot we wanted to ask them, but there wasn't actually any point in asking them because we'd have an hour full of, well, we'd love to tell you, but we're not allowed to yet, sort of thing. So what we tried to do is we tried to give them questions they could answer, with the hope that by piecing things together, we could, give people a view.
Yep. Because it's quite a rarity to get the opportunity to have an interview with Frontier like that. So wasting the time on questions that they're not going to be able to answer. What's the 2020 content? What was it? Space legs? What's happening with atmospheric worlds? It's you might as well ask questions that you can get some information on.
Yeah, it was also good to have Sally on the stream as well, because she's sort of not changing roles, but she's quite new to being in front of the community rather than being behind the scenes. So it was good to have Sally on, to introduce her to
exactly
the community and things.
Yeah, perhaps you can let everyone know a little bit about what she said her role is there.
I can, but I can also say if you listen to the podcast, plug.
Yep. Yeah, no, do that. Yeah.
But basically,
we'll make sure. Interrupting you there, sorry. We'll make sure we'll leave a link to the podcast in a bit.
Effectively, she's been she still is very creative, because she started off doing the bobbleheads that we see in the ships, and she's then moved on to ship design. So ships like the Chieftain, Challenger, and those ships were all her design, as was indeed the Mamba in terms of how it looks and things like that. So she's done an awful lot of work behind the scenes in the game, and I think now she's kind of wanting to step out of the shadows a bit and really sort of engage with the community. So it was great to have her on to actually see what she'd been involved in.
Yeah. I was the same. I've met Sally before over at Frontier. I think you might have done as well, but never really knew exactly what her role was or exactly what her job was. So it was handy or nice to actually be able to hear that.
Yeah, essentially she sits as a bridge between the developers, the community team, and basically she sits in the middle of everything, orchestrating a kind of a creative level, I think would be the right way of describing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just before you come on there, was sort of mentioning the carriers, because you asked, the community's been asking a lot, I think, what's happening with the carriers, what's happening with Ice Worlds, and Frontier have been really quiet about that. So it was really nice to hear you asking them that question and getting confirmation that they're still coming.
Yeah, they are still coming, although details still are very sparse on them. I mean, there's an awful lot of assumptions around how they're going to work and what they'll actually do. So they didn't say anything about would solo commanders be able to buy them, even if they had the money, how much they'd be, what would they be used for, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And of course I was just speculating that maybe they were cut from last year's content, so they could be released as content this year to kind of fill the gap year. But it's equally as possible that they were delayed because they wanted to make improvements to them. I know when they first posted a little bit of information on the feedback forum about carriers, that there was a lot of feedback with people asking what's the point of them, what purpose would they serve, and I got the impression
that
initially,
may be why they're delayed. Maybe that's my gut feel as to why they're delayed. They're still trying to work out what they're for and how they'll be used, because I can't really see a use of them outside being a mobile docking platform. But then again, if players have to, I don't know, ship in 1,000 tons of grindonium or whatever the minerals are to get them to jump, then you have to see, well, kind of what's the point of them? If you and I wanted to go out somewhere, we might as well say, oh, yeah, hi, Ant, we'll let's go out to Maya today and we'll do a few missions there. And we can talk about that on Discord or however. We don't need a carrier to take our ships there.
Yeah.
And I can see there being a use for them maybe in long range exploration and missions and things, perhaps. But you've still got to get them out there and agree for everyone to put their ships out there for the duration and not do anything else. So it'll be interesting to see what they're for.
Yeah, I mean, now you raise that and think about it, I know that a lot of people, especially the Distant Worlds organisers, they were excited to have potentially have fleet carriers on Distant Worlds too. Because
yes, I think they wanted to use them, as like mobile waypoints.
Yeah.
So people could dock at them, get repaired, sell data, change loadouts. So almost like use them as mobile stations on the way. I think that was what the use they were thinking of.
Your point there about fuel really does bring up an interesting question. You know, if you've got a fleet, because they're fleet carriers, so it implies they're meant to be used with squadrons. If you need a bunch of your people from your player group or your squadron to refuel them, and you need 10,000 tons or whatever of grindonium, like you said, I like the phrase, and that's going to take, say, it takes 20 players or 40 players or whatever a week to get that amount of fuel together, and they jump out.
Yes, they might as well go out there themselves.
Yeah, and on top of that, firstly, the amount of time it's going to take you to get all that together, you might as well have taken your ships out there on your own. But what happens if you get your ship out to the fleet carrier out to Sagittarius A, and then 20 or 30 of those players excuse me, one moment, sorry about that, got a bit of a cough there. Yeah, say half your player base that got the fleet carrier out to that location, they suddenly disappear. How are you going to get enough fuel together to get the fleet carrier back to its point of origin?
Yeah, what happens if you're just there and you have to somehow get the 10,000 tons of grindonium all by yourself?
Yes, it's possible, isn't it? You may get abandoned, and that's it.
So, I mean, they did talk about players needing to refuel, and that again, that hasn't been confirmed, but it's something they mentioned. So that's why I think they were held back, because they were still working out the mechanics of how they were going to be used.
Yeah, it makes sense. Ice Worlds.
As for Ice Worlds, yes, they said they're definitely coming. Although when I heard the answer, I was thinking, right, have they delayed them because of what's coming in 18 months' time, and they want to kind of wow us with the technology now, or basically make sure they look like they did on the concept art in game? Maybe that's why they took longer on it.
Yeah, it would make sense, wouldn't it? Rather than release them in a half-finished state, give it an extra bit of time. And serves, if that is the case, it would serve two purposes anyway. It'd make them look that much better, and also give them something to release this year, where there may not be so much stuff. We've got someone, Commander Corvus, in that YouTube chat, just saying some possible usage for fleet carriers could be store mined materials, or a mobile engineering base, place for fleet carriers to place in orbit around planets and
that's
like
what
that.
A space station. That's what a space station does.
But I think the point might have been there to store mined materials for your fleet to use, or your squadron to use.
Maybe, but that would go against something Sandro and others have said. They didn't want players to store cargo.
Yeah.
Simply because of the effect on the BGS it can have if you suddenly dumped, 10,000 tons of grindonium in the commodity market. What effect would that have on the BGS?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
People could potentially store it up, couldn't they?
I'm just asking the questions, and I'm sure Frontier have thought of stuff like this.
Oh, they must have done, especially by this point. They've got to have thought about it. I mean, what's a year and a half now since they first announced carriers? October.
It was
2017,
October-ish, wasn't it? Yeah, October. And that may be why they've been a bit coy about Frontier Expos.
How do you mean?
like last year we didn't have a Frontier Expo, did we?
That's
And
right.
they
Yeah.
haven't, and they haven't even mentioned it for
Since.
this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first half of this year.
Yeah. Especially if they
But
haven't
what?
got much to talk about or much to announce at an expo, it would seem perhaps a bit pointless to put one on.
Well, unless they do it at the end of the year and they announce the roadmap for 2020 and what this mysterious add-on is going to be.
Yes.
But one thing I did think was very interesting, and I'm not sure if you picked up on it or even if you got to it yet, and for me it was like one of the, "Oh, that's interesting," that came out of the interview, was I asked them about the developer-run events. You
All
know,
right.
where would they
Yes.
be on scale? Would they be on like the Salome event scale side of it, or would they be more towards the automated CG start of it? And after a bit of thinking, they replied it would be more towards the Salome style event than the CG style, which kind of implies you're actually going to get active developer involvement in the event for however long it lasts. So it's going to be, I think I use the example of developers flying Thargoid ships, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. So
Uh,
almost like GM-led events.
yeah, that was the implication given, and I thought that actually sounds pretty cool and exciting because there's all sorts of things they can do with the developer tools that we as players can't.
Yep.
So as long as there's a good narrative around it, I think they could be pretty memorable.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Especially when you kind of look at the content that was released last year. You know, the new codex and the ability to move megaships around pretty much at will. And I know they pretty much hot swapped the station model a couple of weeks ago here at Sagittarius A. These are all things that they couldn't do like 2 years ago. So
Yeah, that's all new tech, isn't it?
yeah, there'd be perfect sort of technology for running those type of events.
So yeah, I definitely think it's leaning more towards GM-led events. Now, what of course it didn't say is what would the frequency of that big style event be,
Yeah.
because I would imagine that would take quite a bit of setting up, not only from the technology and getting the assets in game, but also from the narrative leading up to it.
Yeah. Yes. Wasn't there something in there?
Yeah, we've got Drew in there. Yeah, hi Drew. Yes, yeah, it was interesting. I thought to see if they could pull it off as well, and obviously I'm not expecting it to be as complex and demanding as your Salome event was. Um, but they did say it was leaning more towards the active GM involvement. So yeah, we'll see what they come.
Yep. There's lots of potential possibilities there, isn't there? I think.
I mean, wouldn't it be great if you had dev pilotable Thargoid ships appearing in Sol, and players had to rally together to blow up the dev? So it was devs versus players, and the devs were in Thargoid motherships. Wouldn't that be?
Exactly. I was kind of thinking this, was saying it with D-Day Truthsayer the other day. That I wouldn't be surprised if Frontier have sat there at some point and looked at the player numbers for all of these events. I know the Salome event brought back thousands of players to come and get involved. Distant Worlds, both of them have done the same. The Gnosis event, I think that also brought a lot of players in, didn't it?
It
sure
did. There was quite a lot of flack though for the Gnosis event for the technical issues.
There was,
kind of
yeah, there was. But you know, that's kind of in a way besides the point. I was just kind of wondering if they've sat there and looked at those numbers and think, you know what, rather than releasing tons of content, we can probably, or instead of releasing tons of content, we could probably get plenty of players on board with these type of events because there's clearly an interest in them.
Yeah, and Drew again brought up an interesting point, and again, this is all the thoughts that was going through my head during the interview, was that I want there to be a proper narrative and build-up to this. I don't want them just to appear from left field and go, "Hey, this week Thargoids are attacking Sol," or there's nothing building up to it. It needs to be a logical crescendo or peak in a developing story that the players have been engaged in to make it meaningful. I think otherwise it just becomes almost like a stunt.
Yep, definitely. Oh, sorry, I've just knocked the mic there. Yeah, so anything else you think was worth mentioning from the interview last night? I mean, obviously we'd link the whole interview so people can listen to the whole thing. It'd make more sense.
Yeah,
to do that,
we
but
also had a we also had a jokey conversation about what fun things they would want in the game, just for silliness sake. And I think the couple that we came up with as part of Live Radio was a non-bobbling bobblehead
yes,
and paintball multi-cannons, which covered the opponent's ship canopy in paintballs, so
that'd
they
be
couldn't
pretty
see
neat
out.
as well, wouldn't it? Yeah. There's lots of little fun activities you can do, and I know some people that they get very serious about the game, and people get serious about most games, but I think there's always room for fun.
And then there was your favourite, wasn't there? Was displaying a flat Earth model
Flat Earth.
on April the 1st in
I
game.
would love to see that. As Will was saying that they'd like to do that for April 1st. Was that what he was saying? As an April 1st?
Yeah, because many other
so-
games do April Fool's jokes on the players.
Yeah.
Displaying the classic flat Earth model, with the
Just
ice around the end and the
yes.
and the dome and the moon and the sun on rotors that kind of go around. That sort of thing would be amazing to see in game.
It definitely
But
would.
I don't think they'll do it.
So
Just to clarify on the GM event, they said it was towards the Salome event scale, not as big as or as complex or anything like that. I think what they were trying to say is we're moving away from the purely automated CGs and into something more GM led.
Yep. There's Corvus Core actually saying in chat here needs some lore-driven storylines. I think I've seen someone else saying that. Drew's obviously touching on that as well. Drew was saying they'd need someone to help out perhaps with the writing for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I haven't kept up on who's been writing the lore and the stories that appear in Galnet. I mean, it used to be Mike Brooks and quite a team in that, but I'm not sure who's doing it this time. I must admit, I've kind of lost track of where the narrative is at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of petered off, isn't it, really? I mean, the last real points I really remember of it, when I was paying significant attention, was when the stations first started getting attacked. I know there's been bits and pieces since then, but I don't really recall anything in-game dramatically happening. Unless I'm misremembering right now.
No, I mean, they've been mainly supporting the CGs, haven't they?
That's what I mean. There's kind of stuff you see on Galnet and stuff to do with community goals, rather than the hyperdictions and then the Thargoid probes turning up and the Thargoid bases or the Guardian bases. Well, there was the Guardian beacon, wasn't there? I guess you could kind of call that a part of the narrative in a way. I don't know. Some people probably wouldn't, but
yeah, that's one thing they have been a bit coy. They didn't mention at all was Thargoids and Guardians in there, did they? Because if you remember at Frontier Expo, I think it was Sandro made the comment at the expo saying, "Oh, you haven't heard the last from the Guardians." Giggle, giggle. There's been nothing like that as yet. What's going to happen in 2019 or anything like that. We know there's going to be these events, but they haven't specifically mentioned whether we'll see new Thargoid ships or new Guardian ships or whatever.
Yeah. Going right off the top of my head here, I think they said something about new assets or new content in the community announcement, didn't they?
They did, yes, but again, I think they were limited by the messages they're allowed to send. They're allowed to talk about. But clearly, the implication or the for the 2020 stuff was it's mind-blowingly amazing and it's worth waiting for.
Yep.
But it all hinges, I think, and I did bring this up in the interview. It all hinges not on the 2020 stuff, but what happened in between.
It is exactly that. Yeah.
If there are these GM-led events on a monthly basis, or it's a regular thing that builds up to, a climax every so often, and the players can see progress, I think it'll keep interest up. Um, if it's just wait around for 3 or 4 months and then there's an update, then there's a single event, then wait another 3 to 4 months of stuff, then I think interest will wane quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. It's a bit of a worry in some ways. I see a lot of comments around YouTube and Reddit and the forums with people kind of expressing concern about how are Frontier going to keep that interest up.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting for me personally with the timing of the announcement, because as people who've like heard me on live radio and talked to me whatever before, is one of the other games companies I follow and was quite involved with from a community aspect was ArenaNet, and ArenaNet had about the same number of employees as Frontier,
Right.
about 400 each.
Okay.
But ArenaNet was owned by NCSoft, who obviously have a controlling stake. But a week or so ago, ArenaNet laid off 143 developers out of 400 from their company.
Yeah. That's a lot of people, isn't it?
And what they said was the people they let go were all working on future projects, unannounced projects, and that the main core Guild Wars 2 game was going to be their focus.
Yeah, so basically the future projects have been cancelled in that case for ArenaNet.
Or significantly set back, yes.
Set back, yeah. Yeah.
And of course there was a lot of similar messages from the Guild Wars 2 community saying, well, hold on a minute, some of the people you let go, we know worked on Guild Wars 2 because we've seen their names in the credit and they've been talking about what the content they were working on in Guild Wars 2. They can't all have been working on future projects. And also, well, okay, so you got rid of these people, but if they're working on Guild Wars 2, that means you've been taking developers from Guild Wars 2 and putting them onto other projects, which is all normal. It's all normal behaviour. It's just they haven't told the community that. So I think there was a bit of concern. Was Guild Wars 2 in maintenance mode now? And that's one of the reasons why I brought the question up.
Yeah, there's some parallels there, isn't there, in a way?
Because there was some parallels there between what happened at ArenaNet, and I'm not suggesting anyone they have any big layoffs at Frontier at all, but just the way that the resources were used and the messages about coming out about, don't worry, it's going to be fine, we're putting developing stuff in it, Guild Wars 2 isn't on maintenance mode, Elite Dangerous isn't on maintenance mode. There's a similarity of messaging. The timing and stuff probably just sparked a few thoughts in my head that I wanted to, in my own thinking, draw a line of difference between what's happening elsewhere in the industry and what's happening at Frontier.
Yeah, and hopefully there is a difference there. I have seen other people express that kind of concern. People saying, wait 12 months and we'll see Frontier say, oh, we've had to abandon the update for whatever, a multitude of different reasons they could possibly come up with. But
yeah, it was interesting because I know you showed me the Liberium financial projections bit, and it was a question I wanted to ask Will, but it was one of those I know he won't be able to answer it questions, so I didn't bother. But if you look at the Liberium document, it talks about Elite having more or less £12 million worth of revenue coming in for a couple of years, and then in 2020 that spikes to 16 point something million, and it then drops down to 12, and it drops down to 11. So the 2020 bit was obviously the spike for this expansion, or something. That's how it reads anyway.
Yep.
But then of course you got on the question as well, there's only a £3.9 million difference in revenue between no expansion and expansion.
Yeah.
So that doesn't seem to be much of an increase.
No, it reads really odd, doesn't it? It's either the report is not correct, which I would have thought would be unlikely for a broker, or
we could just be reading it wrong.
It could be being read wrong. Exactly. Yeah.
Other factors in there, but it was interesting how the Liberian report's timings coincided with what was being announced.
Yeah.
And they also talk about the number of copies and the average selling price per copy and stuff in there as well. So you can kind of get an idea of how many copies they're anticipating in selling
To
in a
sell.
particular year.
Yes. Yes. And again, it's not that many more next year than there is the following years. I think, if I remember right, it was 100,000 difference, maybe.
Something like that. But again, it's only a high-level report, and you can only
Yeah.
see what the revenue does and the stuff like that.
There's a lot
But
of
for me,
information
when
that's
you
not
showed
there.
it to me, it was curious the timings of when the stuff happened.
Yeah.
So, but also to be on 12 million a year, then the game can't be on maintenance mode, because if you don't do anything to a game, your revenue declines. It doesn't stay the same.
Yes. Yes. It's odd. I mean, the other way of looking at it, and I know we've kind of mentioned this before and other people have, that the update could be entered, at least in their accountants, as another franchise, which would seem an odd way
Possibly,
of doing it. But,
yeah, possibly, because if you remember when Horizons came out, they deferred the revenue, didn't they, into the following financial year?
Yep. Yep. Although Horizons is still classed as the elite franchise, I guess, by them.
Yeah, the interesting thing is also for the timings, and I think Roy Bodie has mentioned it in your chat as well, is 2020, or the lap towards the end, is supposedly when the next generation of consoles is due out.
Yes. Yes. And that could be a factor in it as well, couldn't it? Potentially.
Are you thinking they delayed the release of the content so they could port it across to the new consoles and release it at the same and have a simultaneous release?
Possibly. I mean, there was
Or,
some speculation and people were fearing that just maybe the new update might not work on PlayStation 4 or Xbox, and therefore release it as a launch title for the new consoles. It's all, it's all speculation.
yeah,
But there's so many different comments
it
going
is.
around.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know if any of the development kits for the new consoles are out yet.
Yeah, apparently there
When
are some Xbox 2 dev kits out there. I think that's not really been officially confirmed, but there's a lot of people saying that they're in various studios. Haven't heard anything about PlayStation 5 though. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think consoles have anything to do with it. But it's again, because of the way Frontier have kind of worded it, it's difficult to discount anything, isn't it?
So do you think, I know we're wandering into speculation now rather than the interview, but do you think, because they did mention they have been working on stuff since Horizons and since Beyond, and then they mentioned they started working on stuff now. So what was this, if they started working on the stuff that's out in 2020 now, what was the stuff they were working on before? Or have they or is the stuff that's due out in 2020 the same stuff as they were working on before?
Yeah.
But now they've got the focus on it.
Well, it's really odd, isn't it? Because many times, I know David Braben himself has been on streams and said that they are working on other content. It is in some stage of development, and they cite either space legs or atmospheric landings in that, and that could just be pre-production, I guess. It don't have to be any form of active development as such. But even still, it does beg that question, doesn't it? With them saying they started full development on this update, this 2020 update, in August 2018. What were they working on beforehand?
Well, if you want the tinfoil hat version, what they were working on before this was space legs. What they started working on is atmospheric planets, and they're going to bring out both
together. Yeah, maybe with gas giants. Hard to know, but they do say it's the biggest update ever, so hopefully it'll be something significant. Just going back very quickly to the financial report thing, it's possible that the figure there, the 16 million figure, is for the financial year 2020 and not the calendar year. I think their financial year
maybe, but the revenue there isn't a bump either side of it, is there? So if they've
that's true. Yeah, it's just still it does drop afterwards, doesn't it? Immediately afterwards.
Bump either side. So I don't know. I mean, I find it hard to. It must be something we're reading in it wrong, because a 3.9 million bump in revenue for an expansion is pretty small, considering the amount of work that would need to be involved in doing it.
Yep, yep, yep. It kind of seems a little bit odd, doesn't it? So yeah, possibly either it's not accurate information, or we're reading it wrong, or something's changed perhaps since the report was created. Even though it was fairly close together, I don't know how much time goes into generating one of those reports. It could have been one of those things that it was published and something changed a few days later.
Pass.
Yeah, it's just all speculation, like you say. Now, I can't remember who said it in chat. Someone was asking, I think it was Aquatic Borealis. They said, is Frontier working on any other games other than the games they've got currently released? So we do know that they've got a game released.
To shareholders, the report to shareholders said they are, and they're working on at least one new franchise a year.
Yeah, so there's one scheduled for release, I believe, this year, isn't there? Which they haven't announced what it is yet.
Yeah, they said one per year, and 2019 was mentioned, so I suspect it'll be towards the end of the year.
Yeah, and did you see the news today? I think it was released this morning that Frontier have just signed another new deal. It's for a new IP.
No, who?
See if I can get the link up and I'll read it. So this was posted this morning. It's on a website that Shares Magazine. I think one of the gaming websites also picked up on it as well, and have posted it. So this is an official release. Frontier Developments PLC, a leading developer and publisher of video games based in Cambridge, confirms that it has signed a major global IP license to develop and publish a future game. Frontier anticipates the development cycle for the game to be approximately 2 years, with development expected to commence later in the calendar year 2019. They don't say anything more than that about what it is. I'll just put a link there for people to take a look at. I'll put it in the chat here in Discord as well. So yeah, that's another game that they're working on. It says a global IP, so it's obviously a licensed game, like what they did with Jurassic World.
I'm trying to think what films are due out. If it was a film,
yeah, it makes sense. It would probably be a film, doesn't it? I know there is another Jurassic World film coming out, and I think that's due 2021, but I don't know if that would be classed as a new IP as such, would it? Well, I suppose the license for Jurassic World Evolution would have just been for that one game. So any further
I'm
deals?
just looking at upcoming movies in 2020. There's just purely speculation. The one I really wanted to be is Godzilla versus Kong in 2020. I think that'd be such a fun thing to have a game of. But then there's Avatar 2, which is due out in 2020.
Yep. Someone just pointing out Smurfs. It's got to be a Smurfs IP. I'm not sure there's a Smurfs game coming out in.
There's Fast and Furious 9.
I don't think they've ever done a game.
I want to be Godzilla versus Kong. Yeah. I think that would just be so funny.
Especially if you, they could use the Jurassic World tech. You have to build these big theme parks where the monsters ever fight inside of them.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. An unnamed Marvel movie.
Is it?
There's so many.
Jason Bourne. There's a Bourne film and a Mission Impossible as well. Because they've got contracts, they've got a deal with Universal, haven't they? Pretty much, because they've licensed some of their content into Planet Coaster, and obviously Jurassic World was Universal as well. So they obviously got quite a good relationship with them.
Pass.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll know more, but it's encouraging they've got licenses on the go to, keep making the studio money.
Yep. I think it just kind of comes off the comment you were saying there about moving people onto Elite and the parallels with ArenaNet, and in this case, it's, you know, there's are some differences because we know they've had other successful titles. I mean, what other games have ArenaNet worked on? I know there was Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, but was that
Well,
really
that's their entire published portfolio.
I mean, it's been
Which
very
is another big
successful for them. It's not by any means a bad thing, is it?
Oh, no, I mean, it's still making the money, but it was concerning for ArenaNet is that if you haven't got your next product in development, then you're very vulnerable when your current product becomes obsolete.
Yep.
So that's why, from a business point of view, I'm really pleased Frontier have got all these other franchises and stuff on the go, so that they're going to be really healthy in the intermediate time between
more
now
options,
and 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a thing I've said before. When you look at a game like Warframe, and I've always thought Frontier could have kind of had a Warframe on their hands with Elite Dangerous in terms of getting a massive player base with it from it. There's a lot of parallels between the way Digital Extremes released Warframe, and I know they're very different games, and the way Frontier released Elite, but they kind of both went in very different directions. But again, there's always that problem, isn't there? It's all your eggs in one basket. If something happens with that franchise or with that community for some reason, then as a company, you're pretty much in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the impression I get from speaking to Will and Sally yesterday, as well as previously, was that Elite is very much a labour of love for them. And I think one of the reasons why the development's been slow isn't because the developers have been lazy and stuff like that. It's because they care so much about it. They want to make sure it's as good as they can possibly. You know, you can almost like have I want it to be perfect before I show anyone, or I want it to be right.
Yep. I think that seems to be very much their approach.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think financially, Frontier is very healthy, and I think I tried to find one, but I couldn't. I think Frontier are probably the biggest in terms of market value independent games company out there at the moment. I couldn't think of a bigger one that isn't owned by a Sony or a Rockstar or whatever. I couldn't think of a bigger independent one.
Yep. Kind of mentioned a Marvel film earlier on, but owned by Disney, so probably not likely to be that unless they've come into a really big deal. Yeah. So no, it's been
other projects are carrying Elite. I don't know about that, Shea. I mean, I know you went there last year, didn't you, Anne?
Yeah.
And yes, I know there's always a cynical approach. They could have like moved people around and just put them at desks, and then when you went away, they all moved back again. But from what you were talking about when you went to Frontier, it didn't give that impression as though, you know, other projects were leeching development from Elite and they were just kind of putting on a show.
No, I didn't get that impression at all. I mean, Elite had pretty much an entire floor just dedicated to itself, because they moved into the new building last year, and if I remember, I think there's 4 floors to the building, and Elite pretty much had most of the I think it was a 2nd floor, and these aren't just small floors, they're very, very big offices, so you don't kind of allocate that amount of space to a game that's not doing well, or that, you know, you've got concerns about as a business.
Yeah, exactly. And as I say, you could be cynical and say, well, they knew you were coming, so they just kind of moved everyone upstairs for the day.
Yeah, I mean, there was some comments about on the forums, oh, there must have been paid actors and things like that. But when you think getting people in and moving all the equipment around and all the rest of it, it's, you know, it can't discount it. Anything's possible, really, but it gets to the point where you kind of go to ridiculous levels with it. But yeah, totally. I mean, it wasn't that much different in terms of when you and I visited the year before. It was quite busy then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We walked through the... I mean, what was your impressions then?
Yeah, and this time they didn't hide the screens though, did they, as well?
The time we went, they didn't hide the screens, no. The second time they did, but the time I went last year.
One of the things I did think was interesting towards the end, because I asked Will about what their approach to community management and streams and stuff is going to be, because Ed had his own style, and I was asking, well, what is the Will Flanagan style? You know, how is that going to change? And I thought that was quite an interesting answer, because it would have been very tempted to try and emulate Ed Lewis's style.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Ed was an out-and-out entertainer. It's what he thrived in, and I think if we're trying to be someone else, it doesn't work. They either come across as fake, or it's just not funny.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It was
So
very
I
natural
think
with that sort of
yeah,
side of it.
yeah. So what Will was saying to that is that yeah, he likes the messing about and the casual kind of funny stuff, but he tends to be more organised
Yeah.
behind it,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yep.
And I think then bringing Sally to a more public role, I think will bring that extra element of fun there. You know,
Yep.
there's someone to bounce off of and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
and you've seen that on the live streams as well. You know, when they've had people along. The other thing they said they're going to continue doing was almost like the old Educating Ed series, but I don't know what the Will name was
What
going to
we
be,
could
but they
call for
still
that.
wanted to continue.
Yes. Well, that'd be pretty good. And I think their Frontier Extra live streams have been, or at least the one they saw, it wasn't a bad format. I don't know if you got the chance to watch it in the end, but I mean, they didn't really
I
talk
haven't,
about the
no.
game's content. It was just purely community focus, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I haven't watched any of them because they're on at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and I'm working then. And by the time I'm not working, I kind of just want to slob out on a Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So yeah, there was, like I say, good interview. I think.
Thank you. So it is actually up on the Lave Radio site if you want to listen to all of it.
Yeah, I think you should be able to post a link there yourself. I think you've got moderator rights on YouTube and Twitch. If you want to post them in chat, otherwise I'll post them in a bit, and I'll put them in the video description for everyone to catch up on in a bit later on. Have you got a link handy for them? Or if you post it here in Discord, I'll post it in chat myself. So people have got it handy right now, they can watch it, and then, like I say, I'll put it in...
Oh, yeah, it's not letting me paste it. It's laveradio.com, basically.
Oh, right, that's easy enough then. I should be able to find it straight from there. Okay, I'll make sure I'll leave a link right there. Yeah, did you want to kind of wrap that bit up there, or if there's anything else you want to discuss?
No, I'm trying to wrap my mind into what else was gone through. I'm sure there's stuff I've missed.
Yeah,
I know it was a lot of stuff.
No, it was genuinely a good interview. You covered a lot of stuff on there, and it was nice to be able to get some extra information out of it. I think, I mean, there was a lot of things on there. The three nice things for me to hear was that the events are going to be very much developer led, and that carriers are still coming, and that ice worlds are still coming. I think that addresses a lot of the questions that the community had. So, it's nice to have seen answers on them.
I hope so. I went away feeling a little bit more encouraged than I started with.
Yeah, definitely.
But with stuff like this, I think you tend to be in a you either have a positive mindset or you have a cynical mindset. I think, because you can look at the delay and you can think doom and gloom, or you can just kind of go complete white knight mode and drink the Kool-Aid. And I try and look at stuff in the middle if I can. But it made me more positive as to what's going to happen between now and 2020, I think, the one I started, which I thought was a good thing.
Definitely. I think just even the fleet carrier loan information, knowing that they're still coming, I think that made a lot of difference. It just lets us know there's still things coming this year, and of course even the new player experience. I think those are good as well. I don't think anyone can argue against the fact that it would be good for the game to try its best to retain new players as well. I think Will actually touched on the new player experience, didn't he? I know
He
he was
did,
kind of
yes, he
reluctant
did,
to
yeah.
say it's not very good at the moment, but he almost intimated that it's not really where they want it.
Yeah, I mean, uh, it's got a lot better from when I first started
Oh, it
playing.
definitely has. Yeah,
But the game is just extremely complex in terms of not just of all the controls and stuff to map, but also how everything all interacts with everything else. So anything they can do to improve that would be better. I mean, we we all know when we first saw the tutorial screen for the FFS scanner, we were going, "What?"
exactly.
You know. So if they can
Yeah,
make that more
yep.
intuitive and do a more of a kind of voice acted thing, I think anything. Although it does do people like you and me out of a job if it's all perfectly
If there is that side to
voiced.
it, then it's quite possible that they'll have a whole chain of missions in there. And there was one that brings me on to an interesting thing. Actually, they didn't hint at all or mention anything about the supposed mission packs that had leaked videos last year, did they? They didn't hint on any sort of paid DLC for this year. There's no mention about that at all. I mean, that was
No,
pure speculation anyway, and it's quite possible those were a part of the new mission or the new player.
yeah, I mean, the thing is though, even if they were leaked and were going to happen, they weren't going to confirm it.
No, they're not. No, I mean, but there was not even any hint in the Frontier community announcement saying like, oh, there's going to be paid DLC this year, because the assumption would be if they were mission packs that they would be paid.
Yeah, we didn't want to push the lifetime pass thing because I think they are in some ways they're not sure on what to do about it still.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And they wouldn't say, oh, well, yes, we can do mission packs and they're going to be $9.99 each, or anything like that. I don't think they're ready to release any of that kind of information yet. And we did push a little bit pre-show as to what they could and what they couldn't talk about.
Do you think that the reason they're not sure perhaps what to say about the lifetime pass is because things have changed so much with the way they from their original plans? I think that could have been a case of that.
Possibly because when the LFP was announced, it was, oh, you get the every expansion free forever until for the lifetime of the game. And certainly the impression given at the time was that it would be one a year. So you think, well, if there's a 10-year plan, then hey, I've still got 6 expansions worth of content I'm going to get free.
Yeah.
So I think reality has kind of bit a little bit, and they are trying to work out what to do with it, because I don't think there's a huge amount of players with the lifetime pass on it in comparison to how many sold.
Yep.
But I do think they are quite a vocal group of people.
Vocal, and it still might be a significant number overall, but yeah, in relation or ratio to the overall player base, probably not so much. But I guess they still got commitments to fulfill really to that particular group of players.
We'll see. Well, I think though, if they don't have any chargeable content between now and 2020, I think lifetime pass purchasers will feel a little bit disgruntled.
Yeah, and I can kind of understand that. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends when you got the lifetime pass. I mean, I got mine as part of the Kickstarter package, so it was £80, I think. I think the Kickstarter pledge was £80. It got me into premium beta, so I kind of got my money's worth out of that pretty much 1 year's worth of early access in that regards.
There was
the
also they were selling beta access as well, weren't they?
They did
earlier on.
Later on, yes, they did, and then the lifetime pass come up for around about £30 odd, and the last time it was 120. So for the people who spent £120 on it, I think that's quite a thing.
It is, but you have to. I mean, you can't speak for everyone, but if I try and work out how many thousands of hours I've played the game,
Yep.
and I don't really want to work it out because it's, you know,
It's a
I
lot.
don't know life. It's a lot. If I look how many thousands of hours I've played the game, and I think it's probably pushing 5,000 hours, if not more, for me personally. Doesn't that say it cost me 160 quid to play
Mm.
Elite?
Yep.
Then 5,000 divided by 160 is a lot cheaper per hour of enjoyment than almost anything else I've ever brought.
Any other game, yeah, yeah. That is a fair point. Although it could also be said that someone who didn't buy the lifetime pass would have still had that same value.
Sure, but I don't feel as though I haven't had, you know, I don't regret buying my lifetime pass
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
Obviously, you know, I wish Atmospheric Planets was here. I wish Space Legs was here. I wish all the stuff they talked about was here now. But, you know, if wishes were horses.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it comes when it comes, I guess. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think we've probably
So
pretty
yeah,
much covered most things there.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to jump on and take your entire stream up.
No,
We
that's
talked, we
fine. That's
want to
totally
see you
fine.
go
I'm
exploring.
yeah, no, I'm not trying to kick you off or anything. It's just I'll be cautious of going over the same topics again.
Yeah, as I say, it'll be interesting to see what happens. What I do think is important though is that, and will be important to see. Sorry, is how the content creators view and continue making the content when updates are sparse and few and far between.
Well, it's just,
That I think will be a
one of
challenge.
the things that really, as a content creator, it's one of the, I won't necessarily say your first thought, but it's definitely one of the initial thoughts that you have when you read an update like that one from Frontier. You're thinking, well, if there's not much out for 2019 and there's nothing coming until the end of 2020, where does that leave me in terms of content creation? But I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, though. You have diversified into other games, which is you know, but I think that's healthy because if you are only devoted to one game, eventually that game is going to decline as great as it is. So you need to have stuff keeping it fresh and stuff like that. So I don't think people should read into people like DJ deciding not to stream Elite. I don't think he's fallen out.
Yep.
I don't think he's fallen out of love with Elite and he's not going to ever support it again. It's just he'll find it difficult to fill in the content that he wants to
exactly. That's pretty much what he said the other day.
With the cadence of development, and I think people can look into things too much if a content creator starts streaming other stuff. Oh no, they've abandoned the game and doom and gloom.
Oh yes,
no,
I mean,
it's just not that at all.
Exactly. I mean, I've like you say, I've made videos on other games. I'll continue to do that, and I've pretty much always done that. I know Yamix, he covers quite a lot of other games, especially from time to time. He likes to talk about different things. And then you got DJ saying, "Oh well, I'm not going to be doing content on Elite for a while or anymore." And it's possible, I think, for people to sit back and add all those up together and saying, "Oh my, it's the content creators are abandoning the game." I mean, it's not it's not a case of that. No, I think it depends on as well what comes this year. So,
so yeah, as I say, you just have to kind of look at stuff. I think with a slightly critical eye, but also not immediately jumping down worst case scenario. I don't think there's such a thing as Project Fear for Elite, personally, at the moment.
Yeah. But they've obviously got a plan in place, haven't they? They've got to have a plan in place. They want to keep player numbers up. I mean, there's still that one argument that they don't need thousands of people playing the game all at once, and if the player numbers drop, that's fine, just so long as the players come back. Because after all, it's not a subscription-based game. They don't need the players playing all day, every day, because that's not where they get their revenue from. They get their money from people buying cosmetic items.
Yeah, and I would argue the game isn't designed to be a person's only game they ever play in every single spare minute they have. I mean, I know some people do, but I would argue it's not that kind of game. It's not an EverQuest style game, or it's just not designed for that. It's designed for you do a bit and you just keep making progress.
Yeah.
And almost the speed of it doesn't really matter.
Well, this is something that Yamix has said before, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying it because he said it on stream himself quite a few times, that when he was at LaveCon, he actually spoke to Sandro about the amount of hours that have been put into the game, and Sandro was like, why not play something else? Why spend all that amount of hours on one game?
Yeah, well, for Frontier do, don't they? They play other games.
They play other games. They make other games, so... Yeah.
I remember Bo being very excited about Skyrim in VR, for example. So you are allowed to play other games.
Ed's tweeting the release of Final Fantasy 15. I remember that because he just got his copy, sitting at home on the sofa, about to install it. So, definitely that.
But it will be interesting to see how how the community responds to that. Because again, jumping back to ArenaNet, there was ArenaNet stopped developing Guild Wars 1 in 2007, and Guild Wars 2 wasn't released in 2012, and there was no content at all between 2007 and 2012, well, since 2007. But people still find stuff to do in it, and it was a really long wait for any news at all. But people hung around because that was where their friends were, and it was all about the connections in the community.
Yes.
Not about the content in the game. And I think that's a key thing to bring forward, I think, for me personally anyway, is it's about the people to meet, the people to talk to. The whole community side of it makes a game live longer than the developers can possibly make content for.
And again, I go back to... I do wonder if looking back at the way that they released the content for Beyond, you could argue that some of that was perhaps released for precisely this reason or that reason. I mean, you got the Squadron chat interface, for example, trying to get people together a bit better or a bit easier. So there is that, and perhaps again later on with the fleet carriers, it all keeps people together.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm just looking on the chat to see if there's any comments that were worth picking out. It was a very courageous way of releasing information, or releasing not information, as it probably is.
Oh, it is. It is.
Because they could have just made people wait, and if you like, have the silence build up the expectation more and more and more, and then there'd be a big letdown when nothing appeared this year.
Yep.
So getting out ahead of it and having, if you like, the salt now, and getting people used to the idea.
It's over and done with.
It was a brave, but I think it's also a sensible thing to do.
Yeah. Although it does, does kind of beg the question that if they were willing to let you know on your interview that the fleet carriers are still coming and ice worlds are still coming, why they wouldn't have mentioned that in the announcement, because the reaction might have been very different. Whether it was a case that they went away later on and thought about it after the fact.
Maybe, but I suspect they had they'd crafted that announcement very carefully, and I'm not sure if mentioning fleet carriers and ice worlds and all the rest of it would not have diluted the message.
It could have done. Yeah, it could have done. So, Eos...
It was a very crafted response. The language in it was very precise.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it very much was. And I know on Frontier Extra, Will was talking about... Because they were going through the Frontier Extra, the live streams, talking about each game in turn. I think I can't remember which one of the 3 games they started with, but they ended with Elite Dangerous on the last segment, and Will was talking about the fact that he knows people are very keen on news for Elite, and he said they do have some news they want to release, but it's going through various people now. So essentially he seemed to be saying that the message, whatever message at the time it was they were going to release, had to be signed off by a bunch of different people, and it does kind of read like that. It reads like it was very carefully checked, probably by multiple people.
And that is the thing now. One of the main differences I'm seeing between Frontier elite launch day Frontier, and now is that because they're a bigger company, they have more shareholders responsible, particularly like Tencent, who put in tens of millions of pounds into the company. They have to be almost more responsible in the way they deal with announcements and news and stuff.
Yep, because it can have a dramatic impact on what the shareholders, how they respond or how they act, I guess.
Absolutely right. So previously, I think it was yes, there were still people who owned Frontier shares, but the company's grown so much. I think they've had to be more cautious and more measured in what they tell people, simply because that's the way the business works. And yes, we'd love them to bring back secret hands and whatever Ed came up with to whisper things out to, or slip out, after a few drinks at LaveCon.
Yeah.
But I think what we're seeing is a much more measured and controlled way of dealing with information.
Yeah. I mean, from a player point of view, it's always disappointing to see this sort of thing. It's not the first time I've seen it happen with a games company. It's always nice when you can talk to the developers almost as though they're just another player, and you can get more or less instant feedback. But I guess as companies grow, things change.
Yeah, as I say, I feel it's a shame they have to do that. But then I think for the long-term health of the company and the expectations of the way companies work, they kind of have to.
Yeah. Well, it depends how big they want to grow, doesn't it?
I guess it's like doing your tax return, isn't it? You don't really want to have to do your tax return, but you just kind of have to.
Yeah, exactly. And it depends where they want to take the company. I mean, if they want it to be the next DA or something like that, a company of that sort of scale, then I guess they've got to start acting a certain way and heading in a certain direction. And it's not always ideal for us as players.
No, it will be interesting to see what LaveCon is like, because usually, there's a lot of information that you get at LaveCon and places like Elite Meet and stuff like that, just through talking to the developers. I mean, it's not what they announce at the front; it's the chats in the bar afterwards and beforehand, and all that kind of stuff where you kind of get the snippets and gossip. But it'll be interesting to see how much of that is forthcoming over the years.
I've always found at those events that, even to an extent, although it was perhaps a little bit more formal than somewhere like LaveCon. I mean, I haven't been to a LaveCon yet, but Frontier always seem very down to earth. The staff, they're always very hands-on, very chatty with the players.
Definitely, yeah.
They don't come across as members of staff. They just come across as someone to chat with the game about.
Yeah, that was one of the big differences I saw in Frontier on my first LaveCon to previous meetings with development teams I'd gone to. In that, a previous sort of like company like ArenaNet and stuff like that I'd been involved in, it was a very much do the presentation, say your piece, say thank you very much, and then go home. Whereas at LaveCon, they were there first thing in the morning, from 9 o'clock in the morning onwards, chatting and mingling and mixing and drinking and laughing and playing all the way through to 2 a.m. in the morning, and some even later than that. And then some of them would be up the next day early doing the same thing again until it was time to go. And you really get the impression they want to be there. They want to be part of the community, not have this divide between developer and player.
Exactly.
And that I found really really encouraging.
Yep, definitely. I just hope that still carries on. Again, I guess we'll see this year with LaveCon or the.
I think we will. I think the style of, because in the last couple of years at LaveCon there was Ed, and he had Mr. Blobby and Ed Nelman and Deal or No Deal and all the stuff like that went on was absolutely hilarious, and it'll be interesting to see what if that carries forward in some shape or form, or will it be a much more informal chat? And I don't know. Really interested to see how it turns out. I do know rumours are circulating from the Monday stream that Will Flanagan wants to wear a kimono. Well, he had a dream about wearing a kimono in a mansion house.
Well, that's what he's got to do.
I think in his dream he was there. I think you were in his dream as well, Anne. As well.
Oh, really?
You and Yamix and
okay.
people like that were in Will Flanagan's dream with him in a kimono. in a mansion house. So we say, well, we can get you the kimono, and the hotel is like a mansion house. So the rest of it is kind of up to you, Will.
Yeah, you never know. Crazy things
Yeah,
happen,
the
eh?
chat. I think the chat is warming to the flat Earth for April Fool's Day. Looking at it.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd love to, and I think it would be really good promotion for the game, to be perfectly honest. Can you imagine the amount of news articles that would cover it? That's
Oh, you know what I'd have underneath it? So you'd have the dome of the flat Earth.
Yeah.
You know how it's a dome. Underneath it, you'd have the NASA logo at the bottom.
Yes, owned by NASA.
But as I say, I don't think they'd ever do it because they pride themselves on accuracy.
It's a big thing to do, isn't it? But then again, it's it's still a joke. It's a joke.
It's only a month away, so I'm not sure if they're not working on it now. Then
yeah, it won't happen.
Don't think they would be.
Yeah, unless they've had the model there for a while. What swap Earth out?
Well, on the interview, we did suggest, because we were looking for suggestions of what to put in the game, we did want a space bar asset, an orbital, called the Free Anaconda. So when you scanned it,
It actually says that.
on the system map, it would say the Free Anaconda at an orbital.
Yeah, that would work. Still, even, I don't know, did you see Yamek's last video on that, where he told people to go out and get their Free Anaconda? I don't know if you
I
called
saw it. I
catch
don't know
that?
how many people fell for it.
A lot. And he got some real flack for that. Quite some abusive messages. I want, not as far as death threats, but people not very happy at all because they travelled out hour and a half or whatever it takes to get to Button for their Free Anaconda based on his video, because of course he put a little a cutscene in the middle of it saying this is a recreation of the cutscene you get when you get to Hutton Orbital, and there's this anaconda coming out of the little docking bay. There's a no access bay on there. Yeah, it's kind of he scripted a little scene where he made it look like an anaconda was coming out of the access bay. This is how you get your free ship.
He's a tyke, isn't he?
Oh, the things you can do. Flat Earth has moved on. Let's talk about the flat Milky Way.
Yeah. Yeah, so I hope people enjoy the interview, and when they listen to it, they'll get more information out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted the tone to be more fireside chat than firing squad.
Well,
it
doesn't do any good anyway, does it? At the end of the day, you can have them on and you can rant at them, or you can ask them really difficult questions or put them on the spot, but no one really gains from that, because all they're going to do is give you a load of non-answers and evasive answers.
Yeah, or make a joke about it, or whatever. So yeah,
whatever way they deal with it, but you're going to end up coming away with no information, and at least this way, there's things we know now that we didn't know before. So that's good. I mean, I don't know if you caught the comment a bit early on YouTube here. Someone said that it was really great because Lave Radio got more information in that one interview than Frontier doing a whole bunch of their live streams combined.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so nice comment there as well. That was well done. It was good.
Oh, thank you. I'll let you travelling on because Mrs. Shan has just arrived, and if anyone's been following my trials on Lave Radio, I have to move quickly to preserve my belongings.
Oh, okay. You better go.
Because, well, Mrs. Shan has been watching a lady called Marie Kondo, and she basically says if you haven't used anything for 2 months, you don't need it anymore, so you can throw it away.
Oh, you got to go keep your stuff safe.
It's kind of decluttering. It's extreme decluttering, and I'm a bit of a squirrel anyway.
She waits till you're not about, then hides it all.
So yeah, I've had to rescue things like my signed postcard from David Braben and things like that. I've had to rescue out of this bin.
You're going to need a personal safe.
No, that doesn't work because the safe would go in the bin as well. It just, we haven't used your safe.
Oh no, you have to bolt it to the floor.
Well, at the moment my desk is my office, my home office is really tidy, but my desk is a mess because anything I want to keep is on my desk, so I can see it.
Perfect. You know what's gone then, if anything. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on
thanks
again.
for
It's
having us
been a
on.
pleasure to have you on. I'll get those links put in the video description for people to find that later on. But that's slaveradio.com, yeah? You said? If people want to go and
Yep,
catch the interview.
slaveradio.com.
Great.
Thanks again for having us on.
Nice, it's
And
been good.
you guys have a good rest of
Yeah, thank you very much. Catch you soon, okay?
Yeah, see you
That was Shan from Live Radio. Always a pleasure to talk with. And I know a few people joined in a bit late there, wondering what it is about carriers. So we can summarise it again in just a bit. But yeah, really great to have him on. I did notice a few comments here on Twitch. I don't know if it was on YouTube said so much that I was ignoring chat. And I'd just like to apologise again for that. As usual, when I've got guests on the stream, I don't like to overtalk the guests and talk directly with chat. I do spend most of my streams normally when it's just us, just me, interacting directly with chat because it's a big part of live streaming for me. Absolutely love talking to you all. But when I've got a guest on and I'm talking with them, I think it's a little bit rude if I keep cutting them off to overtalk them. Of course, we do pick up points from chat. Shan picked up a few questions, I picked up a few questions here. The ones we could, or the ones we found relevant, but other than that, yeah. But here we are, back to a bit of exploring a bit, and if there's anything you want me to... If there's anything you wanted to say to me, or anything you wanted to mention, or me to bring up that I might have missed in chat a little bit early on, just make sure you put it in chat right now, and I'll be sure to talk about it with you all. Right, so we're going to do a little bit more exploring here, I think. Haven't found anything particularly interesting, and a lot of these stars do seem to be already marked up. Crypto, you hope we get the Panther Clipper in 2019. I really hope so too. I mean, I think there was a ship that always seemed to be the Panther Clipper in some Horizons concept art, and it never made it into the game, which is a bit of a shame. My thoughts on any benefits with space legs when docked. So the thing with space legs when docked to the station, one thing I wouldn't want it to see is just to be a recreation of the activities we can already do with the game. So by that I mean right now we can go to the outfitting screen and outfit our ships. What I wouldn't want is for that to be replaced with space legs, so we actually have to get out our ship to go to speak to an engineer or whatever to get our ship outfitted. Same with the commodities screen or the mission board. I wouldn't want that to be replaced because you're just adding another layer in there that's unnecessary. So what I would want, space legs docked at the station, get out the station, or get out the ship rather, and walk to a space bar and get an entirely different set of missions, some space legs related missions, or go to a different sort of shop for a particular type of modules that are perhaps usable for your avatar or your weapons. Basically what I'm saying is first person stuff needs to be first person related and ship stuff needs to be ship related, and I wouldn't really want to see one replacing the other. Rescue, someone said ice planets and carriers. So Frontier yesterday on Live Radio confirmed that ice worlds and carriers are still a thing. They were pulled from chapter 4, but they're still a thing. We don't know why they were pulled, of course, and we don't know when they're turning up, but we know that they are still coming. So personally I think that's pretty good news. Looking forward to Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, but doesn't look like it's going to be first quarter 2019 after all. Well, unless it becomes a surprise release within the next couple of weeks, it does look like it might miss the first quarter of this year. But I'm also looking forward to Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. Looks like it's going to be a really nice game. Grail Watcher, the system map has changed a lot since you last played it. So this isn't the system map. This is a new tool, a discovery scanner, which allows us to find worlds that are inside the system. And basically this is equivalent of flying over to the world previously and doing Oh, excuse me, a discovery scan or a surface scan. Yeah, Malik, totally agree. And it'd be nice to go and talk with the engineers with Space Legs. But it should be an additional layer of gameplay, perhaps, and as you say, optional, rather than a complete replacement of what's happening with the spaceships, because otherwise it just slows things down and you'd end up with similar problems to what happened with X Rebirth. Duchess Elysium, thank you very, very much. Thank you for that. Appreciated. And very kind of you. Does the change mean we don't get to hear the bong sound anymore? The discovery scan and the horn, we can still hear that, the honk. So this still gives us some information. We can still use this. And there you go. It still tells us the 26 bodies are discovered. But what doesn't happen is it doesn't populate that system map with them anymore. We have to actually manually populate these through the discovery scanner. But the advantage of this is that you actually get the full amount of money or credits from discovering these through the FSS. Korathar, Will didn't say anything about the fleet carriers in his post. That's right, he didn't say anything about it in the post, but he did mention them on live radio yesterday. He confirmed they're still coming. So yeah, whether or not they're part of the new era or whether they're coming in 2019, we don't know. Could be either. Definitely Matthew Sharp. People would be up in arms if they removed the honk. I haven't found anything cool yet. Commander Vulture, unfortunately. Unless this is landable. I think this has got an atmosphere, isn't it? Yeah, atmosphere type. That's unfortunate, isn't it? Has it got an atmosphere? I've lost track of where I'm supposed to be looking. Yeah, nitrogen. Okay, that's unfortunate. Have you ever found a solar system with rings? What, you mean the entire star system? One ring going around the entire star system. Excuse me about my throat here. And in that case, no, I haven't. I don't even know if they actually exist in the game, anything like that. Metal jackets. Look at all these stars here. This must probably be breaking up the image on Twitch or YouTube a bit. I'd imagine the compression isn't working too well with the galaxy map here at the moment. Wouldn't that just be an asteroid belt? A solar system ring? It would indeed be a asteroid belt, a deviator. But I don't think there's anything quite like that in the game. I know we do have clusters of asteroids, but I don't think there's any actual asteroid belts. Manually moving cargo into the cargo hold might be cool too. Yeah, again, I think that would be really nice, but it would need to be different types of cargo rather than the regular cargo. Again, so that you're adding another layer rather than replacing existing content. Rings around a star system would make no sense. Well, we've actually, I think we've got something like that in our own star system. It's the asteroid belt in between Mars and Jupiter. Metal jackets, yes, I'd love to see that. If you found such a thing, it'd be really nice. You're joking, it would be horrendously tedious. I don't know, Nico, it depends on what it is you're actually loading. I mean, there's no reason you can't have some personal cargo to load up in your ship. Depends on what it is. Smuggling things. It was in a near Ring Dwarf earlier, Jimmy Jam. A Guardian site next to a Ring Dwarf. That must have been quite a nice site. A cat smuggling. Won't mind some cat smuggling. The ship Cat. Let's see what we got here. Boarding other people's ships. Yeah, that's definitely something that would need to come with Space Legs. Space Legs would be a bit pointless without the ability to get on people's ships. It kind of reminds me of when they put Space Legs into... There we go, we've got a planet coming right up there. Into EVE Online, and all that you could do was walk around your own quarters. You couldn't even visit other people's quarters at the time. It made the whole thing seem very pointless. Right, let's see what we got here. I'm actually finding much of interest today, unfortunately. So in case anyone's wondering, there is a community goal coming tomorrow. Now, I'm not a big fan of community goals for the most part, but the one coming tomorrow is kind of interesting because it's to outfit that station here near Sagittarius A, the one that's just over that way. So that community goal is going to be running for a week. It's going to be a mining based community goal, and it's going to determine the level of services that we have at this station. So hopefully that we get plenty of people turning up and helping out there, because having a fully outfitted station would be really nice around here. Danny Twomey, what fleet carriers? So fleet carriers were something that were going to arrive in Chapter 4. They were, well, we don't know exactly what they were, but they were meant to be large ships that players could collectively own, or individuals could own, and other players could dock at. So maybe something along the lines of mega ships. They were going to come in Chapter 4, but Frontier delayed them. They never actually confirmed whether they were cancelled or permanently delayed. But Frontier have confirmed now on live radio yesterday that they're still coming. So yeah, just to answer the question there, Danny. In Sagittarius A wanted to go to Colonia once more, but if there'll be a community goal, you'll stay. Yeah, definitely stay. It's about upfitting the station to Tier 3. I'm not sure how high we need to get on the community goal tiers. We're about to see that tomorrow. Yeah, the music Aquatic Borealis is really nice. It's Stellardrone. Doesn't look like we got anything too interesting here. Retro Wraith, yeah, that is to do with gravity. You kind of lose control of the throttle on your ship. Anaconda had docking for Sidewinder in the original spec. It did indeed, Splinter, I remember that. Okay, Mind Wipe, I'll catch you soon, okay, and thanks for stopping by here. I'm going to have a look on the codex in a minute, see if we can find any other anomalies around this area. Might be worth going over to one of those rather than just keep flying around here, because we're not finding anything interesting today, are we? All hidden away. Let's just have a look how many we got here first. 13 bodies. I'm going to check these and then we're going to jump into the codex just to get a feel for anything else. We did find that anomaly right near the... Was it Sagittarius A or was it near Explorer's... Oh, was it near Explorer's Anchorage, wasn't it? How do you know if you've discovered an unfound system or an undiscovered system? So we come here, system map, and We hover over the star, and it's got no name on here. If it had been discovered by someone else, it would say discovered by. And we can see there are some other planets here as well, because we can move around on the system map. Molly Dog, thank you very much, and you're very welcome. Right, so we've got rocky ice worlds here, so nothing of particular interest. Jim Shorts, what do we mean by fleet carriers still confirmed? So, just very quickly again, fleet carriers are still on the way. After being pulled out of Chapter 4, people were wondering if they're still coming, and Frontier have confirmed that they're still on the cards and they haven't been cancelled. Right, let's have a look at the codex. Any interesting discoveries here? Right, so we've got these different types of anomalies. Have we got any organic structures? Nothing that we haven't seen before. So maybe if they're not too far away, we'll have a look where some of these other anomalies are. Probably none. I like here they're going to be, yeah, a couple of hundred light years away. Let's see if we can get something a little bit closer, maybe. I clicked the wrong one. I did. We don't know anything about fleet carriers, Otter, unfortunately. It looks like this one's a fair way away as well. Thank you for the system there. White Reaper. Yes. Where's that first? Oh, that is even further away. Let's see this system. So probably won't be able to. Well, no, definitely not going to be able to go there. 21,000 light years away. So that's not too far away from Earth, is it? Oh, we're all the way back near the Omega sector. Still a fair way out. But thank you for that, White Reaper. I'll definitely go and see if we can get a look at that system. Let's keep a record of that. There we go. If you're interested in something pretty, 2 ringed planets, 1 landable, tidally locked. At 250 light years from my current location. Let's go have a look at that then. Muggan, how far do I recommend you go to find systems undiscovered? So you don't need to go far. You can just go a couple of hundred light years. It's not so much the distance, it's just where you travel. That determines whether or not you find anything. So just, rather than going longwards, just move upwards, move kind of like this. Go up a couple hundred light years and you'll find undiscovered systems very, very quickly. Right, so someone's recommended some nice looking ringed planets over here, so we're going to head there and see what it's like. White Reaper, you can post pictures of the system into my Discord. Can you post a Discord picture? You in the Discord channel, the Obsidian one on my Discord server? If you are, no, you can't post a link in chat. I'm not sure how to give you permission how to do it there. But if you go post it in my Discord, I'll be able to bring it up on screen here. It's discord.gg/obsidianant. And there's a gallery section there. Post it there and I'll be able to see it. Beast, do I not have subscriptions on Twitch? Keep an eye on the channel. I haven't got subscriptions on the channel just yet, but keep an eye out. There may be something coming up with that in the next few days. Peter Lee, what's happening with the fleet carriers? So I hope other people don't mind me keep bringing up the same question here. And Peter, I totally don't mind people asking that. because obviously it's in the title to the video, so I do want people to be aware of it. But basically, just to reiterate, what's happened is that Frontier have confirmed that fleet carriers are still coming. Oh, well, Beast, thank you very, very much for the thought there. Unfortunately, I haven't got subscriptions enabled at the moment. Splinter, do you really want subscriptions on Twitch? I don't know what you mean by that. No idea what you're on about there. But thank you very much for the thought there, Beast. Very, very kind of you. So yeah, like I say, keep an eye out on the channel for the next few days. Something like that should hopefully appear there pretty soon. Really difficult, Splinter, when someone comes up with something like that, because it's one of those questions I either address on the stream or I ignore, and I could just blank you. I think it makes more sense to not really address it, because obviously you're here watching on Twitch, so you know what Twitch is all about. But exactly as Stuart points out there, I think he sums it up very well there. I think you know what you should. If you're here on Twitch and you watch Twitch regularly, then you'll know what Twitch is. It's all a part of it. Yeah, Old Win, as I was just saying there, keep an eye out to Beast. Keep an eye out in the next few days. I'll have some. Hopefully, we'll have some information on what's going on with that very soon. Exactly, that's Sierra Bravo 1. The fact it's there, it's up to people, and it's always very, very welcome if people do want to do that. Always appreciated, but never demanded or expected. Right, so there should be some ringed planets here. Ah, here we go. This is what I think we're looking at. Posted the picture in general chat. Thank you there, at Reaper. Let's have a look. Ah, I see. Let's bring that up on the screen here for other people to look at. So it's a bit of an unusual one. I have seen things similar to that before. I think there's only one planet inside that ring, isn't there? Rather than one. But someone just posted this picture here on Twitch chat. I just want to let everyone see that. There we go. It's a rather interesting looking ring system there. Very, very far spread out from the original planet in the middle there. Must be a massive diameter there across one side to the other. It'd be interesting to see stats on that particular planet. Let's go back. So thanks for sharing that there. We're going to head over to this world over here. You haven't said anything else yet to be banned for, Splinter, sorry, getting your name wrong. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. All I ask for is that people are respectful here. Retro Wraith, you found money, making money in Elite Dangerous way too easy. I don't know. I guess you could kind of make that argument nowadays with Void Opal mining. Have I heard of a game called Helion? I have indeed, and I've actually played it on my YouTube channel, but quite a long time back. You got the Phantom because of the video, and you're loving it. I've been exploring with an Asp for years, but finally found a ship you like better. A Zymor, definitely. I'm the same. I feel the Crate Phantom is much better than the Asp. This now looks really interesting system. Thanks for the link on the shout out here for directing me here, because this looks like it's a very pretty location. Nice and close to the star as well, which always makes it look nice. Even better because they're slightly off axis to each other. Now we might be slightly better off getting rid of the graphics mod here. Buchanan, it is pretty easy to make money off of exploring. I've been going fairly easy on this trip. I've made about 140 million without too much effort. What a great looking area. I think if we go down around about here, get in this location, we might be able to get a nice shot. Yeah, stunning location, Dr. Digital. Right, don't find these too often, so I think we're gonna get a nice angle just about here, I hope. Oh, you can even see the other planet there in the distance, quite close by. There we go. Oh, I think I might have got a little bit too close to the edge of the ring there, because we can see where the asteroids end, which is a little bit unfortunate. Zeno, good night to you too. Formula, it'll probably end up in one of my videos for sure. Metahuman, thank you very much. We've just gone into the shadow here, unfortunately. That's a shame. That's actually not too bad though. What a nice location. I'm glad the videos help, Cloud. It's always nice to hear. Let's go and see if we can get somewhere that's a little bit more light. Once we get down from that slope, that is. I see you, Macadie. It's nice to have you here again. Right, we're not going to go too far over because I do want to see if we can still stay in the ring system. I was a bit too close to the edge. What I was trying to do is capture that planet in eclipse. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's come around the other side. Just trying to find the perfect spot here to get all the different bodies here in view. So Cloud, I'm using the Crate Phantom. Yeah, Jimmy Jam, it's a great community here, so no, I don't think we're going to be able to quite capture all that in. unfortunately. Oh, no, no, no. There we go. For some reason, the draw distance seems to be a little bit low on the asteroids, doesn't it? I wonder if that's a new thing, or if it's just yeah, that draw distance is very, very low on the asteroids. So Corvus, video processing. So right now I haven't got anything or any mods on. In some of my video footages that you see, like when I do the news videos 3305, some of the footage you'll see there will have EDFX on it, so it will use the reshade mod. But right here, what you're seeing right now, this is vanilla footage. This is how the game looks by default. And what I'm going to do in just a second is switch EDFX on, so you'll be able to see the difference between them. Just give me 2 seconds and I'll capture some of this footage here, because it's got quite a nice angle. Yeah, loads of dust here, Aldwin. The dust looks absolutely lovely. Just want a couple of seconds of this footage here. Let's see if we can reframe that very slightly as well. Do another pass, I think. Bit too fast. Oh, we're starting to come out of the... We've just got a good position there, and I'm starting to come out the bottom of the ring. Right, so, yeah, just to address the question you got there again, Corvus. So this is the vanilla graphics right here, and I've got everything, I believe, on the ultra settings. But if I press scroll lock, we can switch on one of the EDFX mods. So it's very overblown here with this particular mod, because it brings up the brightness a little bit. There's different settings, so this obviously doesn't look too good. But give me a couple of seconds here with this footage and we'll show you some of the other settings. Yep. There we go. Not bad, hopefully. Now, I normally do this sort of thing. I'll try and capture the same sort of flyby scene multiple times. There we go, just to get the slightly better version. Luke H, thank you very, very much. Very much appreciated. Thanks for that. That's a pretty interesting idea, Sierra Bravo 1. So yeah, am I going to hit the asteroid? No. Amazingly. Let's see if we crash into anything as we pass out the other side there. No, we're good. We're good. So, just going back to the EDFX again on the video processing. What we got here right now is EDFX running. I've got version, it's quite an old version I think, at 3.0.15, and I'm using the EDFX 3 Interstellar Blue Edition preset. And we can actually change the presets here. So this one here is Black Edition, and it's all going to look slightly overblown here because we're in a very bright area to start with. Let's see what else we got. We've got Full Effects. It's another preset. Again, a bit overblown. But it's not the best place to demonstrate it. Now this one is an IL-2 from that other game. This is a preset for that, and it has increased the sharpness here. I'm not sure how much you're seeing that on the stream there, but we can actually enable and disable this. It's particularly noticeable around the planet. Slightly over sharpened really, but it works. So essentially, yeah, you can use different profiles for different scenes with some of these mods, which just find the right mod for the right sort of area, I guess. Let's have a look, see if we got one more preset we can show off here. Oh, we got a black edition of Interstellar, again overblowing, which is unfortunate because I would like to have shown you all the variations of the colour effects here. Oh, here's an interesting one. This one is a Witcher 3 preset, which is built into EDFX. But again, you can see just how much different of an atmosphere a little bit of graphical modding can have. Let's get back in the clouds there. It'd be nice to see. I wonder if Sierra, if NASA have ever tested that. They got a lot of videos nowadays in the space stations. I wonder if someone must have surely played an instrument up there. The official wizard YouTube title got me here, so fleet carriers confirmed. The Cliff Note version of the news. That is pretty much the news. Frontier have confirmed that Frontier have confirmed that fleet carriers are still happening. Well, thank you very much, Corvus. And yeah, the video processing, the graphics mods can be a little bit fiddly to get used to, but EDFX is the real easy way to do it. It's one of the best ways to do it because there's a lot of presets in there that you can use. In fact, I'll see if I can get a link in a minute and link you to the version of the mod that I use. But you can see this actually gives quite a different feel as we switch between those two different ones. Mato, oh Mato, thank you very much. Nice comment there, cheers. So what happened to my custom HUD code? So I don't actually use it very often now because it messes with the codecs. Okay, let me see if I can get that EDFX link for people. There we go. Oh, it's quite possible I was using the latest version here anyway. EDFX. Okay, so this appears to be the current version, although I'm not 100% sure, but it appears that it hasn't been updated since September 2016. But this is the same version that I'm using, and it does work, as you can see. So there we go. There's a link to EDFX. You will need to download some reshade software as well, and there should be a link to that on that website. Hopefully it should give you the instructions you need to set it all up. Yeah, down at the bottom you'll be able to see the reshade framework. You'll also need to download and install that. How big is the game? It kind of depends what you mean, Devonian. If you mean in terms of size, scale, then it's a full galaxy. We're right here in the centre of the galaxy. Each one of these dots is a star, a solar system, or a star system rather. And you can see all of these planets just in one star system. And these are full scale 1-to-1 sized planets. The ones with the blue halo around, you can actually go and land on these. But these are full size planets which we can land on. And if we go back to the section here, we can zoom out and you can see all these millions and millions of stars. And if we keep going out, you can see we've got the full Milky Way galaxy, and you can go to every single star. Well, with the exception of the ones that are permit locked. There's a few that are kind of locked, but there's 400 billion stars, yeah. And we can visit the vast majority of them. I'm going to very quickly go land on that planet as well, I think. Commander Corvex, thank you very, very much. That's very, very kind of you. I'm glad you find I'm glad you appreciate the help. Always happy to help anyone. So thank you for that. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to go land on the planet over here. Sorry, kind of lost my track there for a minute. Right, sometimes what I do when I land on these sort of planets is look for the terminator. That's the line between where you see the sunset effectively, where got the dark side of the planet and the light side of the planet. The terminator is generally gives you some very nice shadows in terms of scenery and for well, if you're just going down for somewhere nice to look at, or whether you're looking for screenshots or footage, the terminator is generally a very nice area to go to, because you've got an area that's not too dark and it's got some different reliefs in terms of the surface features. So what's the news regarding carriers? The news is that they're still coming, so you haven't particularly missed too much, but people have been wondering whether or not carriers are still coming, and Frontier confirmed yesterday that they are still on the way. Which is pretty good to know. Alright, here we go. We're going to land down near that crater. I think that's the idea anyway. There we go. So try and keep the planet on the horizon as well. I think just maybe we've come a little bit descended a little bit too early. I would like to have seen the entirety of that planet, but just maybe we can still see most of it. Oh, we've got to watch out here as well. It's 1.8 G, so it's not a small world by any means. Not the low G world. So 1.8 G isn't massively high, but it's certainly enough to cause significant damage to your ship if you're not that careful. And I don't think I'm going to be able to land on that Oh, excuse me, mountain, unfortunately. Let's see if we can. We might find a spot there. What system is this? Let me see there. Oh, I haven't got the text to copy and paste anymore. It's Dr. Digital actually told me about it. And you can see the system right here if you want to write it down. So Christopher, I actually immensely prefer the Crate Phantom. I have a feeling we're not going to find anywhere to land here. We can try. Whoa, 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 whoa! Careful, 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 careful. Didn't pay attention to the gravity there. All right, let's see if we got somewhere around here. I think all of this is going to be. Oh no! That's all of this will be unsuitable, but I've got micro stutters. I just saw a spot there. See if we can find it again. Personally, I'd be quite surprised if we do find a spot here, but we did see one. Just flashed up for a second. Be a great spot to land at if we can make it. I think we're gonna not make it. I don't know where that slight blue spot was that we found, but that's a shame. Anyway, let's just get touched down there. Get quite low. Just wanted a bit of a view with the ship. Guess we'll have to make do without that. I would have liked to have got out and got a bit of footage there with the SRV, but there we go. So yes, John Drago, Earth is 1G. So on this planet you'd weigh quite a bit heavier than you would on Earth. So Aldwin, when partnership is up, I won't be streaming any more often than I do right now. I won't be able to fit any more streams in because obviously I'm a full-time YouTuber, so I spend a lot of time creating YouTube videos. The streams are in addition to that. I won't be able to do any more into the schedule than I currently do, unfortunately. But there's 3 times a week, so hopefully that's pretty good. And there, Goldfinger again is the system, in case you missed it just now. So I think that is where we're going to leave it for today. It's a nice, lovely area to stop off in, and we'll pick up from here next time. We'll see what the area actually looks like. We can actually see another, I don't know if you can quite make it out. There's another planet we can see just moving around above the mountains there, in between the ring and the star. Very small, but we can see that off in the distance. So there we have it. Thank you everyone again for stopping by. It's been a really good stream as usual. It was nice having Shan on as well early on, if you were here for that. So yeah, my thanks to Shan for coming on. It's always a real pleasure to listen to and talk with. Do want to do a couple of shout outs before I go. Bear with me. Real Mental Case. This is a Crate Phantom. So let's have a look at those shout outs. Ethan S, thank you. Commander Woland, Brian Lucas, JSB, thank you very much. Dutch Silesium, thank you. Big thank you to Luke H, and very big thank you to Commander Corvus. Thank you very, very much for that. All appreciated, everyone. Just want to make sure. I don't think the alerts were working. the later part of the stream there, unfortunately. So there was a message from Starlost early on. I don't think I gave you a shout out at the time. Hopefully you're still about. Apologies that your message didn't come up on the screen. It looks like it's sort of broken during the stream, but thank you very, very much for that. So, okay, over on Twitch, we're going to go raid someone. Give me 2 seconds. We go find who we're going to raid today. Let's see who's streaming Elite. Right, I think we go raid Colo today. There we go. So again, thank you very much, everyone. I do have a video coming up for tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. And I will be live streaming again on Friday. So look forward to seeing you all. For now, though, take care. And over on Twitch, we're going to go raid Colo. I'll catch you all soon.